Oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I remember when I was in sixth grade, a buddy from the church I was going to at the time, he asked me what I wanted to go to college for. I told him art and business. It was always those two things. It was always because I knew from doing business, I wouldn't have to like drag myself to a place that I didn't want to be at. And I was already pretty keen to just like hustling. I was either selling Pokemon cards, selling candy, making money. It was always on the forefront of like what I needed to be doing was I needed to be working towards running my own business, doing something of value something that I value with the group of people that I value and that we share the same values as well. Serving God, serving family, serving community.
Michael Jones. He's a musician, a rapper, a visionary, an entrepreneur, and I'm lucky to call him my brother. We sat down and we talked about the state of his world, who he is today, how he's changed, and just how amazing of a young man he is. So I hope you all enjoy the first episode of A. Rebel.
I was a big fan of the spotlight, had a huge ego, wanted to be the Kanye, the Dre, the Jay. I wanted to be like all those guys, the Cudi. I wanted to be a blend of all of it, you know?
UCI, homie, under creative influence. Double F, fan first, man, you know the movement.
Yeah, man, Under the Creative Influence was, I think Under the Creative Influence was like the third name for the entities. It all started out in high school. I had a group called the Cold Stoners. Totally, man. We just loved ice cream. We did like ice cream, but we liked other things too. But yeah, we were the Cold Stoners, and I remember making a logo for it and enrolling all these guys that I was cool with, I was making music with. Dames, aka Camus, the homie Jay Sway, Jew, Frago. Yeah, we started out. I dropped my first like solo mixtape in high school. Cold Stoners, Urban Hippie Adventures was the name of the tape under Key One. Yeah, man, those are some days. I wanted to be what I saw as free. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. And how I perceived that at the time was hippies. They were I wasn't even really focused on the earth at that point, but they were laid back, they were chill, had no worries, peace, love, all that stuff. So we were pushing that. Then it grew into Skyborn, which was the label that I started after high school. And that still had majority of those key players still in. Camus.
What at that point?
I was doing just about everything for the group at that time. I had a really hard time with asking for help. So I was working on my own music, rapping, producing. I was making music videos, editing those music videos. I was doing everybody's cover art, mixing everybody's records. Everybody was recording the records at my house. Promoting. It was.
Were you making money off of that?
No. I didn't make a dime off of Skyborn. I didn't spend anything either, thankfully, just my time. At the time, I was at Living Arts College, and I had access to their tech library, so I was able to like rent out like a Canon EOS, Rebel, all that stuff. Thought I was, and I already had the software. I had the software. My dad, he's very active in the industry. And so he was, passing down software and hardware too. So I was just in a really privileged situation. And so that allowed me to continue to just keep pushing these things out and not expect money because I didn't really put up any money and I wasn't thinking in the business mind state at that time. We just did it because we loved it. But that resulted in a burnout. I burned myself out that time. I wanted to be Kanye, Dre, Jay. I wanted to be a legend. And I was just putting in all this work so I could be known for putting in the work. I was like, what would it be if? Because you see this a lot. I mean, I don't know if Kanye probably did direct some of his videos. I wouldn't be surprised. He produced Through the Wire, and he was putting on a lot. He had his own production company. Jay-Z, we also was putting out clothes at the time, had our own clothing line. Jay-Z did that, They put out their own stuff. Pharrell, who somebody I don't really mention as much, but he was just like somebody that had their hands in everything. Like I said earlier, I just wanted to be known as a legend, right? Not taking into consideration how much financial backing goes into that, right? There's a lot of financial backing that goes into that. I was also just really immature at the time.
What was your biggest failure?
Drugs.
Really?
I was so high out of my mind all the time, right? I was never functioning at my full capacity. So mind you, I'm already doing what I love at 110%, 110 miles an hour, right? So when it comes to challenging myself into something new and acquiring new skills, especially where it was something that, just learning business is a lot, and especially if you're not asking for help, right? So I didn't want to ask for help because I was too drugged out of my mind at the point in time. I didn't think about learning about it too much, because I was just lit all the time. And so, my mind just wasn't I just was not in the right state of mind to be doing business, to be trying to do business deals. Even when the opportunities came up, I had a lot of opportunities to take what we had to the next level. Whether I was like talking with managers, radio hosts, venues, other big artists, you come around and like, I don't know exactly how they perceived me, don't really care. But at the time, me just being totally out of my mind, and then also not staying true to my word, not meeting those deadlines, nobody wants to work with somebody like that. And then it gets to a point where I just burnt out. I burnt myself out, and I just stopped doing the whole trying to put everybody else on, kind of a thing. I just stopped wanting to produce other artists, and kind of even like, I still made music, but I wasn't like, my music took a turn. Like you can like hear a shift in my music. That was when I went from like Key One to Jones Michael. Like you can hear a shift.
Don't know where I'm going with this grind. Gonna take me somewhere. Lord, please guide me to a better place. Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
I still see myself as a jack of all trades, more of a master of self. I don't think I'm the greatest at ever these things that I partake in. I don't ever want to be, that much of a specialist to where I'm the best MC, the best producer, best visual artist, none of that stuff. The most important thing is, am I able to bring balance within my own life, within my own self?
Diversity, equity, understanding, education, and training is now more important than ever. With 8 different virtual theater productions to choose from and more on the way, as well as educator and virtual workshops, student workshops, and teacher workshops, online residencies, and more, Mike Wiley Productions is here to help you tell the story of us.
Black sheep, I could never follow a crowd. Save pennies for my thoughts, so yes, I'm penny proud. Educated and melanated, yes, I'm black and proud. Yes, I got sober, my name ain't James Brown.
First that came was the shedding of doing for self, right? I started becoming more interested in like activism. And so because through that, it became less about myself, I still felt like that was the greatest thing that God ever brought to the planet, because, I was like, yeah, I'm waking up and everybody out here asleep. So I had to like educate everybody on like what was going on. So I thought that made me, it just really inflated my ego, right? But it wasn't until later on through doing the work, wanting to do, less for self and do more for others, it allowed me to really humble myself and just to know that, we all have a part to play in a much bigger picture that we cannot even fathom, like what is to come from the actions that we take right now, and how that affects centuries from now.
When you wake up now, what's your mission?
Serve God. That is really it at this point. I've come to a conclusion of, searching for purpose and all this, like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing here? I just put that first, and then everything just falls into place. Oh yeah, man. I'm at so much peace. Well, I have to say God played the role in it, I mean, even when I became Muslim last year, I was practicing when I first got into it. And then I fell off because I started having doubts again. I'm like, well, it's not really for me like I thought it was. But then I saw my life and my mentality going back to where I was prior to the time when I made my shahada, which is your proclamation of faith. And then so I started practicing again. And ever since then, I mean, you can even ask Giselle, our home is different.
I feel like the cosmos when it's you and me. I believe in all things when it's you and me. Nirvana is the place when it's you and me. When it's you and me. When it's you and me.
Giselle is she's my everything outside of God. She has shown me what love really means to me, because it's one thing. I grew up in a really tight family. So it's one thing to grow up with people and to be told these people are the people that you love, no matter how much they get on your nerves. You love these people anyway because y'all are related by blood. No question, right? No question at all. My parents were really big on that. They saw people splitting up amongst their families. They were like, that's not happening here. So I grew up tight in that, right? However, when you find somebody that you have no relation with, and if you compare our relationship to many other modern relationships, we move pretty fast. With me being conscious of that and me being conscious of how much I'm deciding to care for this person because of what I see is in this person, and no matter what, I want to make sure that this person is good. It took a while to get to the point where it's now. When we first got together, I was definitely on my young man foolishness, no matter what, still out here, wanting to do for self more so. But I knew deep down inside that taking care of this person is the right thing to do because I see something in this person that I don't see in anybody else. And I want this person to be taken care of. I want this person to be well. I want this person to be healthy. I want this person to be safe. So she's really taught me about love, and what teaching me about love has taught me about patience, because it takes time to just takes time to get to know somebody. It takes time to learn how to love somebody, and also how to be loved, and how to compromise, how to be a team, how to be a team player when it comes to everything,
2, 3, go.
Serving God, serving family, serving community, becoming more studious in my faith. I converted to Islam a year ago, and I've been taking the time to learn the religion, learn learn the language, learn Arabic, serving my family. Right now, I have picked up a new art medium. I see it as an art medium, programming, computer programming. Probably starting my own projects, starting my own kind of like side hustle with that because I like to work with myself, or joining a team that I really align with. Kids, with all that, having kids. And then for the community, investing and continuing to help people get fresh food.
Which way to go? I'm elevated, flying above all the BS. I'm elevated, this world is my nest. I'm elevated, spreading.
It all started coming across The Souls of Black Folk by W.B. Du Bois. And, at the time I kind of skimmed through the book, but I was able to pick up on some really nice gems. And hearing about how agriculture brought a lot of wealth and opportunities to African Americans at the end of slavery, and the sense of independence that comes from agriculture. And I was already and around that time, I was starting to really question mainstream society. I was starting to question mainstream values here in America. And I felt that I needed to do something about it. I felt that I needed to make a change within myself that wouldn't continue the systematic oppression. So I was like, if I stop, and I saw how money circulated. So I was like, okay, if the money that I'm giving to these fast food restaurants, if that money is lobbying politicians who don't care about my well-being, I need to just stop circulating my dollars to these major corporations. And it was a slow process. It took me a while to really get into the habit of it. So from there, though, I started learning how to grow food. Was growing some herbs in my parents' house, and then around that time, that's when I met Giselle, and she had an organization on UNC's campus that was teaching kids how to grow food. So I was like, oh, this is great. This girl, I was like, this girl's cute. She knows how to grow food. She's big in the community. And I was like, bet. So we started connecting on that. And then over time, our relationship started to solidify. And so I continued to grow food, continued to help her out with running the organization, holding workshops, running gardens. Even this is when I left Deepak, and I started to work for I had a buddy that worked for an edible landscaping company in Durham, and I started working for them because I was able to start to work with something that aligned with my values and how I saw the rest of my life, moving forward. So learning on this job, it was a great job, learning how to grow food, work with the land, and getting paid at the same time. I couldn't have anything better that time. It was my first time really working outdoors too, and really working with my hands. And that just gave me a new sense of just self-worth. Oh wow, I have the skills now that if I was, you threw me out in the woods, I could start foraging, I could start finding food, I could start learning I could start, harboring seeds and be self-sufficient. Our relationship is different, and that's because I'm different. I'm still me, but now I'm grounded, Yep. Exactly.
God, family, community. Mr. Michael Jones. He is a special young man. I look forward to what he's going to do in the future. Thank you for joining us for this episode of A. Rebel. I hope you join us next week when we sit down with Missy Julian Fox to talk about her third book. Thank you so much for being here, and as always, be epic.
I've learned to just let it be. Now I say with much clarity. Oh, I've learned to just let it be. Now I say with much clarity. Just breathe. Oh, you gotta just breathe. Everything's gonna be okay. You gotta just breathe. Just breathe.